Hi there, guys. Welcome to Ideia de Capoeira. I'm Mestre Pedro, and this is our episode number 4. Today I speak with. Actually, no, that was quite a while ago. It was not done live. You'll see what I mean. But I have a good conversation with Mestre Ferradura, who is an old friend of mine. He talks a little bit about his history, how he started in Capoeira, and how he started teaching kids. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to press the button like. It really helps the channel. And also to subscribe. Valeu! Hello there, guys. Today I have an old friend of mine back from the real days, Mestre Ferradura. Mestre Ferradura, thanks very much for being here with us today. And I wanted to use this opportunity to have in English a little bio about you. Of course we know each other since back in the day, but I think it would be of a good document, a little bit of your journey in one place. I don't know if you have done this type of interview before, but I would like you to start with your how did you start in capoeira, and what have you been doing along those years? Who do you start with?
So, Pedro, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a big pleasure to be here with you and your students, your audience. I'm very pleased that at least we have something to do and not to be just crying over the quarantine. It's
Yes.
really good that we're being able to share with the community a bit of information, a bit of knowledge, a bit of love. And I would start saying that when I was a teenager, I didn't really know what to do in life. I was a bit lost. And then when I eventually found capoeira in my life, it was a big epiphany. I had a vision. On the first day when I entered the academy, when I started training, I had a vision of, okay, I know what I'm going to do in life from then on. And it was in Senzala, in Mestre Peixinhos Academy in Copacabana. And at the time, my master, Mahon, was beginning to teach in the mornings, which was perfect for me because I was studying in the morning, in the afternoons. So I would go train, go to school, and then come back to train with the other masters from Senzala. They had a sort of community in that place. And if you were a student of one person, you could train with everyone. It was like an unwritten rule. Nobody said you can train with everyone, but that's how it happened. So I would train with Mestre Marrom in the mornings, then I would come back, train with Mestre Peixinho. Mestre Peixinho gave 2 classes, and then Mestre Ramos gave a class, so train with Mestre Ramos as well. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll drop by Mestre Betos, who is teaching in another place. And that was my beginning in Senzala. And then later on, when Mahon moved to Capoeira Angola, it just followed. So we worked together during this movement of changing, which at the moment he didn't know it was gonna be Capoeira Angola.
Yeah.
He just was changing the way he saw Capoeira, the way he believed Capoeira should be for him and his students. So I followed with him.
That was about 92, 93, right?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, because I remember that was the time that I also started like training more. And I was at university. I passed for the second semester, and I used to do some mornings at my home, and then in the afternoon, in the evenings, there would be the training at the Parque Lage, which eventually guys also made the journey there.
Exactly.
And so it's quite amazing. The first day that you walk in the academy, you knew that.
Yeah, it just dawned on me. It dawned on me immediately. I just walked in and I saw all those people. Imagine like I'm an urban teenager who is not immersed in any kind of specific culture. And when I get to that place, I see the biggest diversity ever in my life in the same place. So there were black people, white people, people from the northeast of Brazil, older people, women, children, everybody training together, and there was nothing about clothes. At that time, it hadn't been unified yet.
Yeah.
All the badges, symbols,
Yeah.
uniform,
Yeah.
style of like how to dress and how to behave, how to play. All these rules didn't exist yet. It was
Yes.
very chaotic and
Yeah.
very anarchic, and that blew my mind. I went crazy. Like there were people with shirts, people without shirts, people with shoes, people without shoes, different colors, different clothes, and nothing mattered but capoeira. So there were like rich people who nobody gave a damn about them being rich,
Yeah.
and there were like people who were economically not so well off, but were the best players and they were the most valued in that place because they could sing well. Imagine that at that time, the young guys like Mestre Ramos was still young, Mestre
Yeah.
Marrom, Mestre Feijão, all these guys, they were working.
Yeah.
Mestre Ramos was a security guard,
Yeah.
and Mestre Feijão was a street seller, and Mestre Marrom was working already just with capoeira, but he lived with six guys in a small
Yeah. Before you have even
apartment,
had
everybody
dreadlocks.
together. So yeah, much before. And even like there would be people like your father who had their living of other things, was
Yes.
were working with something else, and so they were making money with something else, not with capoeira.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like very unlikely that someone could make money with capoeira at that time, and that was for me was very attractive. The idea that what mattered in that place wasn't money and consuming and capitalistic values. So it's for a teenager that really built my character. I said, okay, from now on, that's what I'm gonna dedicate my life to.
Yeah. 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 It's good. And how did that transition? Something that you start falling in love and you training, dedicating all you can think about was that. And how did that transition to it gradually becoming your livelihood?
Well, in '93, I went to England. I lived in England for a year, and I met your father. And we went together to, I think it was Newcastle or Leeds, somewhere,
Okay.
or Liverpool, somewhere in the north where there was a martial art. Do you know where it was?
Yeah. I had forgot. I think we have some pictures. I'm gonna ask my mom for the pictures because I remember that you were in one of those. There was the Budosai. I don't know if it was Budosai, but in the north near Newcastle, there was always something related to the martial arts that happened.
Exactly. So we went together, and there your father came to me and said, "You're gonna start teaching." And that was the first time someone said, "You're gonna start teaching," and it was like,
Okay, so the first time you
"Oh."
taught. Wow.
I didn't teach at that moment, but it was the first time someone said, "You're gonna teach," and it was like, "Oh, okay." And I remember having like this funny argument with him that I said, "Look, I need to talk to my teacher." Mahon wasn't even a master yet. I said, "I need to
Yeah,
talk to my teacher." In my mind, it was like the hierarchy. And Gato said, "Do you think Mahon is more important than me in Zanzala? I'm the big guy in Zanzala. When he arrived in Zanzala, I was already there. If I'm telling you to do it, you do it." I was like, okay. Okay, Mestre. It's like, oh, do you think the sergeant is gonna talk to you if I'm the colonel?
Yeah.
It was funny. But anyway, I got friends with the Gatos group in both in London and South End, in Harlow, in Harlow,
Yeah.
and then I started giving lessons here and there. But also, I didn't make any money at that time. I mean, nobody made money at that time with capoeira, even in England, including your father. Nobody made money.
Yeah.
There was like about, I don't know, maybe 20 to 40 capoeira players in the whole of the UK,
Yeah.
and I guess about 6 or 7 professionals. So there was like very little
Very
capoeira.
little.
And but then when I came back to Brazil, a new market was beginning to open, which was the market with the schools. And as my home was teaching in schools since 1988, he already had a group of children, a sort of methodology. And there was Mestre Tony Vargas, who was also in Senzala, who had a lot of experience with children. And then it just happened that like a few schools started to open themselves for capoeira, and I just got into it like almost by chance. And then after I started teaching and having quite a few students and quite a few schools, I realized that I could make a living off capoeira. At that time, during this transition, I don't know if you remember that, like every day when I got to Parque Lage, I would have like a cord, and I had like a big bag, and I would put like trousers and t-shirts. Like I made t-shirts, and I sold capoeira t-shirts. I made trousers, I sold capoeira trousers. I had like beer mouth cases, I sold capoeira cases. So I was already making a living off capoeira, but it was about selling stuff. I would go to batizados and events and academies and sell stuff and pay my expenses with that, which was like very low.
Yeah.
So that was the way.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I remember those days we could do. Also, I used to make billion balls, and I think once I went with Dorado on the car, and you could trade at those days for our old malha, like a colored capoeira trousers. I traded on 14 biribas, just without the bark. So these were good times you could start. But so you started already on when you talk to school, you talk like about young kids, or like when did you move into the nursery, like toddlers and?
Since the beginning, since the beginning. Yeah, it was that was like the new challenge for my generation, because people like the masters before, then we're gonna say Mestre Tony Vargas, the ones that I referred before, and also Mestre Garrincha, Mestre Claudio Chaminé, and a few others. They were already teaching, but mostly kids 5 up. So almost nobody was teaching 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and no one was teaching 1-year-olds.
Wow.
And then when I got into nursery schools, I started getting toddlers. It was a new challenge because there was no methodology for it. And some of the games that I saw other people using, they couldn't be applied.
Yes.
Too hard for the kids. The rules were too hard. And the cognitive system of the children weren't ready to learn those skills. So I needed to adapt, to adjust, invent a lot of stuff, err a lot. So I made thousands of mistakes to realize what could be done, what couldn't be done, and to understand the difference between the ages. Like, okay, it's like 1 to 6, but it's not 1 to 6. Like 4 to 6 is one thing. And 3 to 5, it's another thing. 2-year-olds are very specific. 1-year-olds are very specific. And between each age, people are also different. So I needed to study by myself.
Sorry.
Come again?
I'm saying like you can have a 5-6-year-olds, and they all will have a big range in coordination, in focus, in what they can do and stuff. It varies a lot.
Exactly. So I had to study a lot by myself, and there was no internet at the time. So mainly what I did was going to the library at the schools and picking up books about psychology, child development, and starting to understand education, pedagogics. And as I was reading books and learning, so I started to develop a methodology for capoeiristas, like to teach capoeira, how we can adapt those principles. So now we are talking about free education, creativity, cooperation, natural movement, and then start to get these principles and adapt them to capoeira. That okay, and then build sequences of games. What has to come first? What has to come second? What does a child needs to master to be able to go to the next level? How can we measure it? How can we know that the knowledge is effectively being constructed by this child? What's my view as a teacher? How do I see myself as the teacher? How do I react to discipline? How do I react to the in like many variables that exist during a class, including my own education, and reflect a lot about my education. Okay, how was I brought up? What are my values? Are they right? Are all the things that I believe about education based just on how I was raised? And the way I was raised, was it the way I believe I should teach other children? We remember that we live in a very repressive, authoritarian society in Brazil.
Yeah.
So it's very much, if we look at education, the way people see education in Brazil is very violent, very, very violent. Things that are like common sense and allowed here wouldn't be accepted in most places in Europe. And if we're brought up that way, we tend to teach the same way because we believe in those values.
Yeah.
And that made me really like organize myself and say, okay, I need to study more.
Yeah, that's always the best step, to look, gather information, and try to come up with a plan. If that doesn't work, come out with another one, and so on and so forth. But I think one of the aims here is also to, like, if you're talking to a non-capoeirista public, right? Why capoeira is such a good activity for children of different age groups?
Well, if we look about the potentials that capoeira develops, we're gonna see that we have a tool for developing musical skills, social skills, cultural skills, physical skills, and we can do it like through fun activities. We can speak to the children's hearts. This way they connect to capoeira very easily. And we help them engage in those values, and slowly they start, not because we want them to do it, but because they want to do it. Do with capoeira, we create a rich environment. We give stimuli, and the children themselves, they build their knowledge. They build the way they are gonna play, interact with each other. So that it's not necessarily related to Brazil. It's more about archetypical needs of every human being, of every culture. Everybody needs to connect. Capoeira connects. Everybody needs to be producer of his own art and not just a consumer. And we in capoeira, we produce art, we produce music, we sing. They develop artistic notions that are not easily taught otherwise. Also, you have the cultural aspects of capoeira, and then we're talking about both the Brazilian cultural aspects, the African Brazilian cultural aspects, and also about the idea that capoeira is a huge culture around the world. So people are like, you are part of a big community if you're a part of capoeira. Then we can talk about different masters, people who were in the past, people in the present, the children themselves in the future. So it's like it's a historical link. They live in a historical link as well. They cooperate where they're doing capoeira, and we live in a society where competitivity competitivity is very is
Competition,
encouraged. It's
yeah,
encouraged all the time by the system. And we're talking about a cooperative art. We
cooperative,
work
yeah,
a lot on creativity, and creativity it's a skill. It's a 21st century skill, essential skill
yeah,
for everyone to be able to interact in life. I'm not even mentioning games for the future in terms of how you're gonna behave in your job, behave in the market. I'm talking about how you're gonna behave with your partner, how you're gonna behave with your loved ones.
yeah,
So cooperation, it's more than ever needed in the world.
yeah,
And we're talking about using your body in an era that people are sedentary. Everybody's sitting down, just watching TV, just like kids now, they stay the whole day long after like they're
yeah,
6, 7, whole day long playing games. It's really hard to attract them to any physical activity. Sports are usually meant for very disciplined, very talented, gifted people, while capoeira is open for everybody. So we
yeah.
have many advantages when we offer capoeira to a child.
Yeah, it's a very good point you made there, because the thing with the electronic games and the effect it has. I mean, when we were kids, there were some video games at a time, but I believe it's funny because the year that I arrived in the UK, that was 2000, was the same year that the portable PlayStation, came out. And since I, it might be, it's just from my perspective, but I feel that as the years have passed, generally speaking, it was harder and harder to get people to move, to become more active, and just from seeing, like I was dealing a lot with university students in Edinburgh in the beginning, and to see the difference of how people were prone to try something new and how this is gradually becoming less and less. And I thought it was it's just me. Maybe there's always more capoeira teachers coming, so maybe there is less students per teacher and so on and so forth. But I asked a student of mine, Hukinha, who is a dancer, who teaches dance, and she said more or less the same thing, that it's so hard to build this idea that, look, sweat in the class is normal, and you're talking about people doing a university of dance, and they are, and surely the video game, the sedentary lifestyle plays a massive role each time more. But
Yeah, people don't want to sweat, man. If you look at even the gyms all around the world, like I was in an American gym last year. Went to give a workshop there, so I went like working out in a gym. They are freaking cold. They're
yeah,
freaking cold. It's like it's fucking Alaska. You go inside the gym, it's freezing, and people are wearing coats. It's like, why do you have to turn your air conditioning on
yeah,
so
yeah.
strong? It's already not hot outside. It's cold outside, and then you go inside. People don't want to sweat.
Don't want to go, they don't want to sweat. It's true. Some of the kids that I teach, they freak out. Look, but I'm sweating. I said, look, this is good. It's really good that you're sweating. And so, what's the earliest you can take a class for capoeira students? What's the earliest age, the youngest age?
I start with ones, like 1 year olds. So as soon as they start walking, and they can march, they can walk properly, I start teaching them. Because if you think about child development and intra womb life, so you have the child moving inside an aquatic environment, and then they're like squeezing, and they're pulling, and they're pushing, and they're kicking, and they're already moving inside. As
Yeah,
soon as they come out, they're all the time expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. About 6 months, they are already beginning to crawl. They're like rolling from one side, rolling to the side, and then afterwards they start crawling from like 6 months to 1 year. They're crawling on the walls. They're crawling on the chairs. They're moving all around. At about 1 year old, they start walking, they start marching, properly speaking. And after a while, they would squat, like in order to be able to walk, usually they squat. So after
Yeah.
like they walk in all fours, they crawl, then they walk in all fours, then they squat, they're gonna stand up and work in the balance, and then move and explore the world, and then start jumping around and using the bodies to discover the world. As we spoke before, when they get to 6, 7, 8, they start being very sedentary, because when the limbs start to grow and it's not so comfortable to be in your body, so like they start getting like really, really, really tall and that gets much worse when they're teenagers. It's
Yes.
not
Yeah.
so comfortable to be in your own body anymore. When
Yeah.
you're 4 years old or 5 years old, you are at your peak of comfort. You can do
Yeah.
everything. You put your hands on the floor and you throw your legs up. You go, woo, happy days.
You jump off the
You're
steps. Yeah.
it's very proportional. It's like the whole body is very proportional. And so what we do with these kids when you get them young, it's like early interventions. We start to encourage them to keep on doing that natural movement, keep on pushing, pulling, crawling, walking on all fours, squatting, running, getting unbalanced, like working on their balance, being able to relate with their bodies in the same way they did when they were 1 day to 1 year. So like the moment they were born to 1 year old, like how much movement did they do? Like the whole day long, they did a lot of movement. So let's keep on doing it. Culture tends to get kids still after they are one. So like everybody wants their child to walk.
Yes.
It's
When they
like
start
crazy. They
walking,
wanted the child.
they
Walk,
put.
walk. When they start walking, it's like, oh, stop, stop. Don't run, don't go there, don't go up, don't go.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with talking. Everyone wants their kids to talk. And they encourage them all the time, like with music, and they speak to the kids. And then they like read 1,000 methods to make the child speak earlier. And then
Yeah.
the
When
kids
they,
start speaking, and they're like, oh, please stop. Like, here.
why do you want to do? There was actually a video about this. My quarantine was like speaking to this 3-year-old that trying to explain something, and the guy is doing lots of different duties throughout the day, and the kid is saying the same thing. But yeah, it's definitely a trip on this to think from that perspective. Uh, Very interesting. And when would you say that the child gets, because for example I teach kids, and sometimes I teach kids in a very specific environment, right? It's like a room, there's only me and the kids, sometimes the parents sitting down watching whatever. But when comes the time for like something with more kids or more adults, and that becomes like, I've noticed that the way I build this the environment make it really pro, because when it comes to a big day, the kid does not want to go and play, or even play in a roda. He's used sometimes to one beating bow and one instrument. And how do you build up that? I mean, from what age do you get the kids to go into a bigger roda, or you feel that the kid is confident enough to go into a roda with many people? Sometimes people he doesn't know and stuff.
Well, I think mostly about what is good for me as a teacher, as and also as someone who is giving a product in a sense, like offering a product to the parents, and they're paying, or the school's paying, and they want results, and that's something we always need to take into consideration. We need to make presentations for the parents and so on. But more than all, I think about the kids. So it's not, my needs cannot top the needs of the children. Their needs to be first. So what I do is like I choose where I teach, and I choose the way I interact with the parents and the teachers and the heads of the school. So I myself in presentation, I don't do big days. You refer to big days. I don't do big days. I have an open class. I call all the parents. Let's say what I do is like every couple of months, I have a project with the children. So let's say like my current project would be animals. And we're gonna work with the crab, the frog, the lion, the stingray, and so on. We're gonna work with all the animals. And we're gonna play with the animals. They're gonna like draw something with the animals. They're gonna put masks with the animals, thousands of things with animals. And they're gonna learn a few songs about the animals too. After a couple of months, when I close the project, I call all the parents and I do exactly what I did in class with the children. So if they learned 5 songs and they learned 5 movements, that's what they're gonna show. I'm gonna start with a song and the kids are gonna do that movement, and then we're gonna play a game. So let's say it's the game of the frog. We're gonna play the game of the frog. So the child is gonna play for fun and not to please the teacher or the parents or the school. And that's like if you get people like Peter Slade, like the drama teacher. He speaks a lot about the need of drama instead of rehearsed theater. So children should be more encouraged to improvise all the time, interact. And if parents are there to see, they can't see it, but they're just watching. The parents are just watching. The kids are not presenting something for the parents. They're having fun. The children are having fun for themselves. And the parents love it. What happens in the end is that I get much better results than when I used to rehearse the kids and think about doing something amazing and telling the kids, you need to do this, you need to do that, come on. I say, let's do squat, jump, do this, do that. Like, please, child, don't say that you don't want to do it. Nowadays, I also tell the parents in the beginning, say, look, if your child doesn't want to participate, don't force her. It's okay. Just stay here. Just tell them, look, I want to watch. It's not you have to watch. I want to watch. I want to watch the what's going on. And then have your child there. And if you really want your child to participate, take part yourself. Come in and come play with us. If you start jumping like a frog, if you start doing like a crab, walking like a lion, it's very likely that your child's gonna come.
Yeah, so you give them the tools so they can create on top of those tools instead of having to follow a rehearsed pattern, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly. And then, so the idea, there is no big day for me. Every day is a big day. So if parents come, if they don't come, if it's a presentation, if it's an open roda, like the kids, that they must feel free. We should take pressure off their shoulders. Because it's not about them. When you do something that you want the kids to play in the roda and feel comfortable with other people, we are not thinking about them. We're thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about, okay, I have 10 kids. The 10 have to do movements. The 10 have to come in the roda and show everything they did, so the parents will be happy, and I'll show results. And I'm not worried about those results. I'm worried about the process. So even when the parent comes, I say, oh, but my child didn't do as well as that other guy. I'm like, okay, but look, so-and-so started from another point. Let me show you the improvements that your child had.
Yeah.
And I start speaking to them. So remember in the beginning how your child behaved. Look how much he improved. And then like sometimes it's just social skills. Your child didn't even take part in the class in the beginning, and now he's playing. It's not even about capoeira. It doesn't even, maybe the kid doesn't really like capoeira.
Yeah.
It's not about capoeira, but he likes me and he likes his friends and he likes being together. He doesn't like sweating sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's great. And so now, for example, we are all under the quarantine, right? And I saw that you have been doing some talks online on Instagram with the people who follow you. But have you engaged in anything like teaching some of your kids that you might have regularly? Are you doing something for the kids through the online or not really?
Every day.
Every day
Every
you're
day.
doing with your kids.
I have in my channel, my YouTube channel. If you guys want to go there, it's Ferradura Capoeira, and there's a playlist. There's like Capoeira for crazy children who are driving their parents crazy at home and are
So you do like
enclosed.
you record something and then you post, or you do it live?
Let me get something here just to give you an idea. I put it on YouTube. What I do is like I imagine that I'm interacting with a child, like with the children. So I'm actually teaching them the same way I teach them at school. But let's say like there's a video that just came out yesterday. I posted a video. So let's say on this one, it's not just me. There's me. There's my team. There's all the teachers. Everyone does one activity for the children and put them together. So
Right.
let's say here.
Mestre Ferradura. Qual que é meu nome? Fechadura! Que fechadura nada! O meu nome não é fechadura. Meu nome é Mestre Ferradura. Fala meu nome certo agora. Ferramenta! Ah! Mestre Ferradura! Vamos pra rua! A gente não pode ir pra rua.
So I'm speaking to the kids. I want to go to the street. No, you can't go to the street.
Nice. And this is for 4-year-olds,
That's like for 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
De novo, bota o bumbum pra cima. 2. De novo,
Yes.
bota o bumbum pra cima. 3. A galinha falou. Cocô falou.
Pode crer.
Then on. So like, I'm teaching them online, and the kids are doing it at home. And I put it on YouTube, and then the kids can do it at home. And the parents record it, and they send me like videos of the children doing it. It's a lot of fun. And then like once a month, I'm doing a Zoom meeting with all the kids. So like every teacher on the team calls his own students, and then we do a Zoom. Zoom is more limited, so it's more like about getting the parents all together and coming with the parents. So it's like, okay, now mommy, daddy, we're gonna do a handstand with the children. Each one hold one leg, and then just put them up, and then we play for a few minutes, just for the people to interact.
Yeah. No, because I've been trying to run the classes like this, and my younger group, I've noticed that they miss a lot the interaction, the live interaction. And although we had some, but they grow, like to do things. So I was actually thinking of doing this kind of stuff that you did there, where you create a video for them to have fun and to watch and to engage on that. And that is really fascinating, because I think the quarantine is really a pain on not being able to go places and stuff, but it is the time to start thinking of other ideas that can work. I was actually looking at, when my kids were small, there was some TV programs that they loved. They would just like watch over and over again. And I was thinking like, wow, it wouldn't be great if you could do like a kids capoeira program where kind of like just a story, like what is the elements of those stories that they have here for kids that work? Why does it work? And try to take these ideas. So it's definitely a time to try to rethink your approach on capoeira due to limitations that we have currently.
And children needs are universal. all children need the same thing. It doesn't matter if they're Brazilian, British, Japanese. Every child has the same needs. So also we do have the same needs. We have common needs as well,
Yeah,
adults. And you see like the archetypical aspects of teaching are the same. So even though capoeira it's a Brazilian cultural art, or you could say African Brazilian cultural art, it speaks to everybody. Everybody can relate to capoeira. And we see that in Israel, there is exactly what you said, a capoeira show for children. There's this guy called Cogumelo, and there's like there's a monkey there, which is like a character, like Sesame Street, like a
yeah,
very
yeah,
famous character for children. They sell toys, they have cartoons, everything about this monkey thing. And the capoeira guy is a part of his show. So the capoeira guy is also during the monkeys show. The capoeira guy comes in, and then he does a lot of games. It's a Cogumelo. It's really professional. If you like, look it up, Cogumelo Capoeira TV program Israel in YouTube. It's really professional. They put like drones and masks and professional clothes and
yeah,
then they sing songs, choreographies, and the children freak out. You have like shows of this guy with hundreds of children who are not capoeira. They're not capoeiristas.
yeah,
They're just like random kids in the street, all doing the movements, all doing cartwheels, squatting, ginga, singing a song. That's the
yeah,
power of the technology of information. We are in a
yeah.
new era. We need to adapt ourselves.
Exactly, and also think. I think sometimes we get too much thinking as in like within the capoeira community, and I like to think sometimes like, okay, how can I reach people who's beyond the capoeira community? How can I make the capoeira community bigger? And I think definitely that's the way to go on trying to through different ideas try to reach out the bigger public. And I wanted to ask you as well, I've seen that you have been doing now for quite some time. You've been doing your capoeira in the street for the people who live on the street. How is that experience going, the project?
Well, homelessness in Rio, it's huge. It's
Mm.
been growing since, like, if you remember when we were children,
Yes, we
there
were
were a lot of children in the street. They were like street kids. You didn't see so many adults. You saw a lot of children in the street. Nowadays, these kids are not so much in the street anymore. They are being imprisoned. A lot of children are being imprisoned. I also work in a prison for kids. Like they don't call it prison, yeah, it's like an institution for rehabilitation children who are in conflict with the law according to their standards. And so you see, like the kids are a lot of them are drug dealing or even imprisoned. Well, the homeless audience nowadays, it's basically made of adults, people who had drug abuse problems, people who have problems with the families, people who have psychological or psychiatric problems, and usually a mixture of all these aspects. And many organizations noticing that there were hundreds of people in the street walking all around, he started to make campaigns and recurrent campaigns. And there is this one which has been serving breakfast for the guys for 13 years. And then they invited me at some point. Before me, there was yoga. They started with yoga. So there was a breakfast and then yoga. And then they invited me for capoeira. So there was breakfast, yoga, capoeira. And nowadays there's a few of the days there's in the early morning, there is not only breakfast, but also, how they call it, Reiki. And there's another spiritual practice. And then they go to capoeira, and then they have yoga, and then there is lunch, and then they go to a house which allows them to have a shower. So that they have a shower, brush their teeth, have their haircut, and then there is psychological help or taking documents, also official helps for taking documents and stuff. And it's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of challenges. There's a big way to
Sure.
go,
Yeah.
but we're seeing results, like good results. It's demanding because we sometimes we think about like social projects as people who are going to be very grateful and very open to
It's not.
everything that you're going to bring. No,
Yeah.
it's not that. It's just people. It's
Yeah.
people, they look at you sometimes as if they're clients and you're going to give the best service, and they
Yeah.
complain and they leave at any moment uh, when they're pissed off. And sometimes they don't turn up. Now I'm tired for the class, bye. And they
Yeah.
leave you. So it's not easy, but it's very rewarding. And I'm not the teacher myself. I have my class. I'm in the second level. So like the first level, it's like my students and the people who engage in the project, the volunteers who engage in the project, and they teach 3 times a week. And it was gonna be 4 times, but now with the quarantine, it's over. And after the people engage with them in the class, in the capoeira, I only visit those specific places. I visit, so they know me, oh, it's the Mestre, blah, 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 but they actually do classes with regular folks. Like my students who teach there are regular folks. I'm talking about people who've been training capoeira for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, and then there are also advanced ones, teachers and so on. But some of the teachers are like very, very, very beginners in capoeira. They're just offering themselves to go and give some visibility. It's about visibility, it's about social interaction. That those people are invisible, like the world doesn't see them. People
Yeah.
go through, they're here, and people go through like that, not
Yeah.
looking at them. And then they're here, and people still like,
Way around.
where are they? I can't see them. So if people who are watching me right now, if you want to start a project like that, you don't need to be senior in capoeira. You don't need to be a teacher. You don't need to have a belt. It's about wanting to connect. Take some instruments, go to the street, and start. And then
Yeah.
my level, like I work in the second level. When these guys start to relate to capoeira and link with capoeira, my students tell them, go train with us, come train with us. And then they come to my class, which is a capoeira, normal, regular capoeira class. But then they start interacting with people who are not homeless, with people from the regular society who just treat them like any other student. So in a way, it reproduces the environment that I told you that took me to capoeira, where of
Yeah.
acceptance, of
Yes.
diversity.
The connectivity of it as well.
Exactly. So people like my students who pay for the class, they really like being connected with the homeless guys who are training
Yeah.
with us normally. And sometimes the homeless guys are better in capoeira because like most of my top students, the homeless students didn't start capoeira with me. Actually, none of them. None of them started from scratch. They all had some background. One of them is like really good capoeirista from the Northeast, like not famous but good. Like does all the movements, all the acrobatics, and all the crazy things. Another guy learned from his brother. Another guy knows how to play instruments and sing. But when they come to training with us, they start living like a normal life again. So I had, at this moment, I have one student who left the street because he connected with us, connected with capoeira, and he's like, man, I can't go back. It's like, it's not for me. I didn't use it. He left for 2 years. This guy's like really smart. And he said, I had a living, I had a life, I had a job. What the hell am I doing in the street? And we know what he's doing in the street. It's drugs. with family problems and with psychological all that. But he now, with the help of the Capoeira community, he left the street and he's living in has like his own house now and working and so on. So we do have results. It's so one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time, one battle at a time. Oh, really, really nice. A really nice story. And I think that there are so many unique and beautiful stories through capoeira, that is so important. We keep reinforcing, just telling them, because within the group, that we started, I mean, I'm still part, you were a part. There are so many amazing stories of people who made their life with capoeira and so on. But I also think that it does not mean that when you're teaching some kind of community-based social work with capoeira, it doesn't necessarily mean that the kid is going to become a capoeirista, but it's just giving some quality time for the kid to express himself, to have a connection to the outside world when they are, if they live. I used to teach back in Falete, and at the same time I got in a project that was in Cantagalo, and I used to take the kids from Falete to the Cantagalo, and for them was like, wow, we're going to another place, so that, because we live outside, we don't see this so much, but when you are sometimes in the ghetto or in a favela, that becomes your you don't really go out of that, so I think this is the beauty of capoeira as a way for the kids to connect, to learn through other people and see other people. This is really amazing. But man, thank you very much for your time. I know that I don't know, you're a busy man. How are you spending your time now in the quarantine between classes?
Man, been busy. It's like I don't see any boring day in my life. I've been working since the quarantine started. I've been 45 days in quarantine. I was 15 days in Israel. When I arrived in Israel, they started the quarantine there. I had 15 days and I stayed 15 days in quarantine. And then I needed to come back. They canceled my flight to Brazil. I needed to buy another ticket. I almost didn't manage to come back to my country. And then when I arrived in Brazil, they started quarantine over here. So I've been quarantined for 45 days already. And I've been so productive. Pedro, I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I do loads of stuff. I make videos, I write, I read, I cook, I clean my house, I work out, I stretch, I give classes, online classes, interviews, lives. It's been crazy. It's one of the craziest times in terms of productivity are now. So it's really it's amazing how productive and what an opportunity we have if we have the basics already settled. Like I have enough food in my house. I don't have a problem with the rent. Like my bills are paid. I have enough money to stay like that for another few months. Like I'm spending very little only on food. I'm spending nothing else. It's like food and cleaning products only. And I'm making no money. There's like no money coming in, for which already also takes a lot of the stress out, because as I'm making no money, there's no stress about money. I'm like, okay, happy days, let's leave. And also talking about that, if I can, let me take a couple of papers here just to talk to people for a second. Just a second, Pedro.
Sure.
I can't find it, but I have an online course which is open.
Yeah, no, any link
from
that you have, you give it to me, and I will post any link that you have. send it to me, and I will post on whatever this comes out.
Okay,
So like,
I'll do that. So there's
about your
yeah,
online course.
it's an online course for people who want to teach children. It's all in Portuguese. Sorry,
Yeah.
but if you guys speak Portuguese, they can translate to other guys. It's free. It's 28 weeks course with videos, with tests, with texts, and people can use the quarantine to improve themselves during this time.
For sure.
Okay, and I
Okay.
hope to see you guys in England. I was gonna go there in June, July. I was gonna be there in Manchester, but it's not happening this time. So I hope in the next semester.
Were you gonna go to anywhere else in Europe, or you're coming just for the
All
Manchester?
cancelled. I was gonna go to many places. There was Hungary, Portugal, England, Germany, Switzerland.
Yeah, it's for me. It's I don't dwell on. I don't think too much about it. But this time I would be busy every weekend for a month and a half. You know, and that's the 20-year anniversary that I arrived in the UK. So I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna do so many things, and okay, so like now I can still do so many things, but in a different way, because you have to reimagine, replan your year because of this unfortunate event of the quarantine.
Yeah, like, my message is like, guys, keep positive and make something out of it. Make something out of it. Like, be productive, read, write, learn, study, train. Oh, I can't train every day because of this. I don't have time. Train every day now.
Yeah, for sure. My man, thank you very much. And I appreciate a lot of your time. Valeu.
Thank you, Pedrinho. Axé, querido.
Hi there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Axé.